7, 8, 9. Now I have a view counter and a light counter. 14 seconds, 15. I don't know why YouTube cuts off the beginning of my lives. It doesn't, like, I can't, like, go straight into a performance then. Alright, maybe it's a grace period, right? Alright, so I have written in the description a few things. Also, I'm using a dry herb vaporizer, and because setting fire to cannabis is not medicinal, and I have a medical marijuana prescription from a medical herbalist. Right? Excuse me. So if YouTube wants to set this to over 18 because I'm vaping cannabis, why are you not setting the videos to over 18 where people are blatantly blazing weed? Why did you set one of my videos to over 18 just for using a vape? So for context, I've written in the description because I'm going through acute codein withdrawal. So my doctor's surgery are trying to say that after prescribing dihydrocodein, which is twice the strength of maximum dose of codeine, maximum dose of dihydrocodein is twice as strong. And they've been prescribing that to me for 3 years on repeat monthly, 100 tablets. 100 tablets divided by 28 days is actually not even 4 tablets a day, and it's supposed to be taken like regularly for 5 hours for conditions which doctors don't even seem to know what's going on. I have to go to another country to be x-rayed and examined by an orthopedic surgeon to have clarification that the sacroiliitis, which a Spire hospital doctor did an MRI and examinations, he diagnosed me with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. He sent me back to the NHS so they could do the blood work. The NHS then refused to do the blood work because they labelled it hypermobile spectrum disorder when the letter was full of references to Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. They refused to do the blood work. And that is a condition that I was born with, that is progressive. I'm now 45. It's progressive. I've always paid for my own treatment whenever I've actually had hands-on treatment. It's never been on the NHS. I've been seen by a physiotherapist on NHS maybe 3 times, twice definitely, once at 19. I think she told me to do sit-ups. I don't remember any hands-on, and I was having a physio between the ages of 12 and 13 because I had overextended playing netball, and my mum was paying for that, and she said, oh, you know, your daughter's spine is like putty, flat feet, bruising easily, no wound healing, no mention of Ehlers-Danlos syndromes at that time. So my mum was paying for physio for me for a year between 12 and 13. And I've always paid for my own stuff, whether it's massage or chiropractor or whatever it is. I'm not recommending any of those because you have to do your own research. And what works for me with one therapist, I could go to a different therapist of the same practice and find them no good. You could go to the same guy that I get on with and find him no good. Some people freak out about massage and they like, oh, I can't like take off my clothes and what d-dot and everything, and probably those are the people that most need it. But I was lucky enough to get Swedish massage at 17 and actually in a private psych unit, and that was the only actual helpful thing from that period of time. Because antipsychotics might make you apathetic about pain and they might make you do less so that you actually generally overall have less injuries. They might make you stop your periods so that you're not getting the severe symptoms of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and endometriosis, because Ehlers-Danlos is worse before and after your period. And then you combine that with spinal arthritis and you combine that with endometriosis. So if you're going to give me an antipsychotic that's going to stop me having a menstrual cycle, I'm only bleeding once every 3 months, that's still not a cure, especially when you're walking around in a fat suit that is drug induced overnight. You can't eat that many extra calories in that short of a time. I've watched people in hospital being prescribed lithium, going from a normal sized healthy man's body, well over 6 foot. This guy, he gained 14 pounds in 14 days. He's in a hospital setting. His diet is restricted. So I've seen it myself, and the fat suit doesn't help. So these are not cures, and they're not even beneficial for the trauma response. If your dad's a pederast and he's handling your medical care, and you've been talking about CSA, whoa. So don't be surprised. So I've been picking up this prescription for dihydrocodein for 3 months. Excuse me, oh my days. I am wearing shorts. I do not have good legs. I'm like a jellyfish. And when I sit, It does. I'm not thick, and I can put on leggings. You think I'm thick? I'm gonna sit. It's gonna splay out. I have a collagen disorder. I can pull my skin like this. So they're trying to say 100 tablets of dihydrocodein, but that's 3.5 tablets a day, is for 2 months, when I've been picking that up monthly for 3 years. So I had my last tablet Sunday, and I went to the pharmacy and they didn't have my thing, and I'm like, yo, this has kind of been going on for 3 months that I come in and you've not ordered my meds. And they're like, cool. They're very nice people. I've been going to the same pharmacy for years. And then the doctor, surgery, Hanscom House in Hertford, responded. It could be any NHS surgery in Hertford, it doesn't matter. As far as they're concerned, I have bipolar, type 1, type 2, cyclothymia. I have BPD, otherwise known as EUPD. There's no reference to PTSD. There's no reference to DID. There's no reference to my real life of seeing the abridged notes of mine. And everyone else I spoke to that day had the same experience, that their abridged notes were an inversion of their real life. Apparently I didn't get on with my mum, but I was very close to my dad. Is that a euphemism? So they don't seem to know what's going on. I know this is really all over the place. I had an MRI privately, 2018. Coming to money. I didn't know what the fuck to do with it. I was just buying everything on my Etsy wish list. And facilitating a visa for a man from North Africa. There's so many good men in North Africa. Why I had to end up with that one, I don't fully understand. Let's just say he sees out of one eye. According to him, he's blind in one eye. And has no sense of smell. And who knows whether that's a good thing or not. But I'm just trying to say, I'm so lost right now. I was going to start a new project today as well, technically. Because I got, somebody uploaded a video of like a TikTok lady. And she's like a black lady from America. And she kind of did a whole get behind me Satan speech from her car. And I was like, yeah, fair enough. I'm out of here, get in the shower, etc. But I really needed those tablets today. Like, I have withdrawal symptoms. I've gone from taking 30 milligrams of dihydrocodein 3-4 times a day for the last 3 years. I've been on other stuff. I've been on pregabalin. I've been on amitriptyline. I've been on morphine, slow release, and oromorph, and all sorts of things. And for apparently for medication seeking purposes, according to some people, because there is something not adding up in my medical notes. I go to the doctor, the first thing they're looking at is bipolar schizoaffective disorder, because I was getting around to my other diagnoses after my drug-induced psychosis, which was terrifying age, or I'd say probably from maybe even from 14 to 17, and then I actually stopped smoking weed and stopped taking speed every weekend. And then after 4 weeks, I was just fucked, and I wasn't well, and I couldn't sleep, and I was actually living with my dad, and my sisters were very young at that time, and they were clearly traumatized. So was my stepmom, in actual fact. But basically, I wound up in hospital. That was handled by my dad. He's a pederast. So then, within a year, I'm being labelled with bipolar diagnoses, even though I'm going in high on drugs. You can't do a drug test on me, because that delegitimizes the whole diagnosis. So now I'm walking around with diagnoses of, most recently, autism, ADHD, BPD, schizoaffective disorder after head injuries. They said I looked like I was hearing voices. Hello, my temporal lobe head injuries. That same guy, was it the same hospital stay? He came and took me home. He was the guy that was getting on top of me and punching me in the temples. Schizoaffective disorder. I look like I'm hearing voices. These terms are groups of symptoms. They do not correlate to any symptoms. It's causation. It's a group of symptoms. It's a name for a group of symptoms. There is no causational element of just naming a group of symptoms. Autism, ADHD, schizoaffective, addiction, bipolar 1, bipolar 2, BPD at some point. And then before that, drug-induced psychosis. And somebody thought I was cyclothymic. They don't realise I'm not on the pill. I have a menstrual cycle. So I've been in physio since I was 12. Now I'm medication seeking. I had to move on from a doctor's surgery. I used to go, when I first moved here over 10 years ago, you used to go down the road that way. Then I actually got advised to move because they had this kind of HR person that came in and looked at everyone's notes that wasn't a doctor and said, this patient is medication seeking, and caused me a lot of stress and unrest. So then I was advised by a GP to move to another surgery. So I moved to another surgery. But this whole time, if I can't sleep with pain, or I'm going through genuine trauma, or I'm socially isolated through unemployment and illness, and I'm taking your drugs, and then you're going to continuously treat my mental thing, right? It makes no sense to me. But I've done like 5.5 years incarcerated, and most people are not like me. Most people are not taking a dopamine agonist. I've been taking it. That's an dopamine. Elevate your dopamine. God only knows what's doing in there. Most people are getting the opposite. That's what I had for years. It made me piss myself. It backed up the emotions that I needed to go through at that time so badly that I would wet myself. I became obese overnight. I was in like a hypnotic trance on those drugs. Now for like 10 years plus, like 15 maybe, it must be getting on for like even 20. I've been taking mostly this same drug. You use it at a high dose. I don't think it's FDA approved. It's a dopamine antagonist. Very, very linked with alcoholism and other substance misuse disorders, possibly suicidal, actual eventual death by suicide. These are not healthy drugs. Then you take a small dose and it's an upper. And the psychiatrist that took me through my pregnancy, who recommended that my daughter was adopted, who had met me once for 5 minutes 4 years or 3.5 years earlier, and then wrote in the notes that she'd known me for 4 years. And she had that whole Duper's Delight thing, like the one that smiles. She was smiling when she told me just after I came out, because I was like pre-booked to go into the maternity unit with my baby. So I actually went in, I was still pregnant. A week later I gave birth. And I go home and I've just literally, my daughter's just been taken from me, and she recommends that I stop taking those tablets, the dopamine upper ones. I'm like, you realise I can never come off those drugs now, basically. I think, I mean, I don't know. I've tried before and the kickback was pretty bad. And even when I used to take a high dose, if I missed a dose, I would be so screwed. So they're trying to say 100 tablets is for 2 months. They just started saying this. I had to go to other countries to actually be seen without a bias. They diagnosed what was formerly diagnosed as just sacroiliitis to advanced ankylosing spondylitis arthritis, which makes a load more sense because I started getting symptoms in my teens, in my sacrum. So there's a more specific diagnosis. I was properly examined, and the sort of imaging they did was loads better than here. They just take a photograph. There they like use the whole thing, and they're asking you to move just like fractionally every time so they can build up better and better pictures of your back rather than NHS one photo, you're gone home. And then I actually had that x-ray done here a couple of years ago, and if there's a problem they're supposed to tell you, and I'm like weeks later phoning up to find out because I know there's a problem, and the literal receptionist says, oh, you know what? It's nothing to worry about. It's the beginnings of osteoarthritis, and I've already been told my AS is advanced. Believe it or not, it does still advance. It's traveling up my spine now. This is all medication seeking. This is all bipolar delusion. This is all attention seeking. That's where it's gone because the psychiatrists have basically pathologized everybody now. Everything's pathological. If you're in bed because you're in pain, or you don't want more pain, or you don't even know what to do, you can't treat yourself. Even Jesus, they said to Jesus, physician, heal thyself. He could have done it, but he didn't. We're not like that. We can't just sort ourselves out. We need physio of some kind. We need hands on our body. We need the proper testing. For God's sake, they could just like do everyone's genes when they're born and know what's up with them. So I feel like I'm being just like stretched out, and then it just doesn't go back to normal, and I'm jelly, and it's not good. But if I'm in bed, it's because I'm lazy. No, I'm fucking bored. I'm really bored of it. I can't go very far. I walked to Domino's the other day. It's not far. I went to the bubble tea place. It's right up to near Domino's. And when we got there, I was like, I'm done, man. I'm done. And we had to walk home. Anyway, it's not even far. I missed 2 blood tests up at the hospital because on those days, I'm not walking there, let alone walking there and back. And I might not have money for a taxi, actually. And I've been back in hospital, not sleeping with pain and noise. And then they were like, oh, actually, you know what, how do you end up with all these diagnoses? And I was like, well, my dad was involved. And he's like, well, we think you have autism and ADHD. And I'm like, great, brilliant, call it what you want. But let me go home and let me work with community mental health. So that's what happened. And I'm referred, like I go through like 2 people or something, and then I'm like with this other person. And I'm like, do you advocate for access to physical health care? Because when I'm going to the doctor, they're just seeing these major psychotic disorders, so they're not referring me, they're not treating me. If I have pain immediately after a sterilisation, that incidentally I didn't even ask for, it was just recommended, and I was on pregabalin, God knows what else at that time. I was just like, yeah, sure, brilliant idea. And I wake up screaming from that surgery, and then you do a pelvic ultrasound a week later, and you say, I'm going to take 3 months to recover. That's not normal. To be told I have loads of fluid around my ovaries, I'm going to take 3 months, and that's the end of that. So I stopped asking them for help. I stopped asking them because they're not doing anything. So I speak to the community mental health person. She's allocated to me. Will you help me? I had to ask this 3 times on 3 different occasions. The answer every time was no, and I explained a lot in text. Will you do advocacy for me to be able to access physical health care on NHS? No, that's not what I do. Do you know what letter I get from the psychiatrist's office? I am unwilling to work with the mental health team. Jeez. I guess I said that so that I could get out of hospital, right? If I say I'm going to work with them, you'll let me go home now. Whew, so, you know, all this profiling thing, you're not a doctor, I'm not a doctor. I get shit wrong. I'm diagnosing people wrongly all the time. Oh, I think you have this, you have that, you have that. At least I'm trying. I'm not just saying, oh, you've got chronic fatigue syndrome, oh, you've got fibromyalgia, oh, you've got a little bit of this, you've got a little bit of that. So if I have a mental illness, I can't get physically ill. All right? I'm just lucky like that. I don't want to work. I just want to stay in bed. That's what you want to do. That's what you're doing right now. Like, Justin, he's been waiting, I think it's 3 years. I'm going to say 3 years, like, to get his foot looked at. The guy broke his spine. He's like, I think it's coming from my back. I said, you know what's probably peripheral neuropathy? It might be diabetes related. He does not drink water. He tells me Dr. Pepper is medicinal because of the name, right? 3 years, now he's going to be seen by a physio at the end of the month. Maybe they'll work out that the neuropathy in his foot is coming from the spinal injury. Great, now what? All right, so I needed to come here and talk about this. And it's been all over the place, and that's, you know, that's good. I got words out. How's everyone doing? I want to host, this is not my new project, but I've just come up with it. I want to host you guys, you as an individual person, not all of you. You might know someone that will do this, if not you, to come in and talk about what a shit show most doctors are. It's not the NHS. I paid to see someone 2 years ago, exactly, and then I had a bacterial pneumonia that, according to the CDC website, who I would never normally quote as being reliable, said that it kills 1 in 20 people that have it. I'd had it ages. I go and I pay for a sputum sample so I get the correct diagnosis to a private doctor. I can see them immediately. And the computer system recommends that I take a antibiotic that I actually cannot take on amisulpride, which is the dopamine upper I was telling you. So I take that every day. The system recommended the one drug that's contraindicated with amisulpride, and I took it. And the last time I had antibiotics was not that long ago, because I did a live stream and I said, like, I feel sick, I've taken a lot of tablets. That was those. They had on the leaflet, these may be beneficial for people with hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, like on a regular basis to take to make them feel better. They nearly killed me. Okay, you can choose whether you think I'm exaggerating or not. Wait! It's up to you. I know, but there will be people out there that have had similar experiences or are having similar experiences. It affects everything. It's your benefits. Because I'm in codein withdrawal. I'm hot. I'm cold. I'm sweating through the eye of a needle. And I've not seen any of these comments. I look like a psychopath. This is the thing. They have got in everyone's heads. They've made up that there is a collective unconscious, subconscious, do you mean? They made it up, they fill it with trash, especially about women, especially about people that are ill, and you as a bloke, and your relationship to your mum, girlfriend, all this, they fucked your heads, probably. And if you don't know anything about it, that's fine. Hello everybody. I'm gonna just undo these. What? Psychopath. Well, look, do I look... I'm low in oxytocin. I know I've had some other blood work done. I've had all my bits and bobs done like so randomly. And I have a genetic predisposition to be low in oxytocin. So I'd actually make a great like murderer or something, but it's just so I don't know if you mean psychopath like that I'm dangerous or whatever. I think the psychiatric industry thinks I'm dangerous. I think they think if I write about them, which is what I really need to do now, that's my new project. If you want to come talk about your health problems or access to good health care, specifically good access to good health care, please send me an email, yashasvi137@protonmail.com. And you don't have to show your face, or you can ask to have your email read out. But we need to talk about these failures and how like psychiatry is like at the center of the medical healthcare model because it's an arm of the law. They have legal capacity, and so like everything else is kind of like on going out from that. And if people continue to go to their GP with problems that might involve the low mood, then and all that's happening is they're being given psychiatric drugs, then we end up in this situation. Because 20 years ago, people like me couldn't really speak out. Like I said, most people in my situation are on those drugs, and I'm on like the other type of thing suddenly after a minute. After my head injuries, actually, because I knew that I could break these tablets down, and then I just wound up finding it really useful. And they are used in Europe for like chronic pain patients and chronic low mood as well. So it's not even a bad thing, but nobody on those drugs can really talk about it. You have to, and just 20 years ago, nobody could talk about this. Now, 20 years later, so many people have been prescribed psychiatric drugs and been given basically meaningless diagnoses. I know some of you are finding it helpful out there. I don't want to knock anyone's experiences, but they've done a very clever thing, and they've spread out the DX. So you've got psychotic disorders, you've got personality disorders, you've got neurological disorders, which aren't your fault. Guess what? None of the other ones are our fault either. They're denying people getting raped as kids. Oh, we don't know where this mental illness has come from. Mystery. It might be your hormones. Dopamine is a hormone. Serotonin is a hormone. So we've not got any further from the hysteria label of 200 years ago. And everyone's minds are basically infected with this idea that we need to like police each other for mental hygiene till then you get Jordan Peterson, now everyone has to say everything exactly correctly. I'm not going to let it fly because 2 years ago I started writing. I had a Patreon, I had 2 supporters, but so it wasn't paying my bills. It's not in therapy, physical therapy, counselling, nothing. Going out writing 2 hours, bought a cheap laptop. It was just for word processing because it's not heavy, I can take it out. No camera on there. And literally like 3 months later, whoever tried to take me out. On my Patreon, I had a picture of Epstein and Maxwell together, and the first 4,000 words, which got really over-edited, I shared them with somebody at a point in time, which was ridiculous to do so, overextending. That was bad, and so I just ended up like editing these 4,000 words of kind of about where my dad's from and stuff, and ending up with describing the attempted abduction from Kenwood Park by him and herself, as mentioned before, if you're paying attention, which I'm sure you are. And And yeah, they took a hit on me. They underestimated how much fentanyl it will take to kill a person who is opiate dependent in the first place, who's already done 2 major overdoses in the last 12 years, walked away from both of them, all right, vomiting, but still walked away from both of those. So they go for me with 3 needle scratches on my arms. I didn't know it was the equinox, but it happens to be the June equinox 2024. So literally 3 months before I started writing. It's public. I've got a Patreon page. It's not paying any bills, £2 or £5. It's not doing anything for me, but it's keeping me accountable. And like I said, I'm not getting any physiotherapy, so it's like I'm sitting to do my writing. It's not easy, and the subject matter is not easy. And then when my work hours are finished, bam, nothing to go on. And so, but I don't even think this was about Epstein and Maxwell, because that stuff is because of the age that the group of the children that I was in at that time, that came from ARC Yoga. I'm gonna out this person called Sophie Hillier was in the group, okay? She was like my best friend. My mum told me Sophie Hillier was in that group. I'm like, oh, that figures. So there was a group of us that were ARC Yoga, but there was also a group of us that were going to Hampstead Theatre, which is out just on like the outskirts, like Swiss Cottage way. And we were drugs, and you use your imagination. There will be records, there'll be that video evidence of that somewhere, even though it was the mid-80s. And then 6 years later, these 2 tried to abduct me. That's the only reason I would have identified Ghislaine. But Ghislaine was at that, she was coming to ARC Yoga. I know I met her there. I know she was there. But I wouldn't have identified her and him if they hadn't tried to abduct me from Kenwood Park. I was like 10, 11 probably. Or at least I'm going on 11. So that stuff, because of my age at the time, is so, and because of the infamy of the perpetrators, it's very difficult for me to actually make these allegations. Look at my panel. There's no one here, you know, and I get it. It's like I don't want loads of attention for this. But if I talk about the psychiatric industry, and that's a threat to them, because everyone now has been through that. The problem is those drugs are powerful, and when you repeatedly traumatize a person that I couldn't even leave my dad's house. I'd be like, I am going out. My dad is like, you are not going anywhere. Slam door, turn around, phone doctors. Oh, I'm sectioned again. And then I can't leave that space. And I've got to take these drugs and agree with everybody, including the pederast that was making love to me from an age that I don't remember when it began, up until the age of 10 or 11, because be smart, you don't want to impregnate your own daughter and she's already 9 stone, right? And she's not quite forming the proper memories, especially when you're going to give alcohol before you go in at the weekends. So I don't talk about that stuff, but that's gross and disgusting. Have you seen the book Poppy Shakespeare? People are having to fictionalize this stuff to get it to be accepted, because you want to believe that we go into a psych unit and we're getting therapy. No, we're being re-traumatized. We're being vilified. He's just casting out demons that don't even belong to us. If you tell a psychiatrist at 17 that you were SA'd as a child, and you're actually still a child, and you've woken up and he's sat in your room, this goes on, and your response is surprise and denial? Well, you've been working as a psychiatrist for like 60, maybe 50 years. This guy was in his 80s, and you've never come across a client that was SA'd as a child? Wow! Coral walks into a train. Another guy jumps over the fence. Where do they find him? Not in the woods next door. No, in the Thames. Face down. Oh, it was the mental illness that killed him. Well, that's convenient. Then you don't need to look at your methods and your practices. So now everybody goes to university to study mental illness. Oh, congrats. Just ingrain it into the idea. I have a completely unique physical body. I have a completely unique past. Even though I have 2 brothers, I have 2 half-sisters, my upbringing was unique, as was theirs, right? I have all of that going on. But we're just going to group clusters the symptoms together that could be seen in different ways by different doctors. We're going to ignore all the physical stuff. All of everyone has periods. Oh, is it a bit heavy, is it? And it's just in my mind. That's fine, I have no problems. That's the takeaway from here. Hi, people. You know, if there's anyone else going to be psychopathic to, it'd probably be myself anyway. I get suicidal ideation. Coral's dead. That guy from hospital's dead. Steve's dead. Compton's dead. Did I say Jade is dead? Jade, Coral, Steve, Compton. The guy that ran away from hospital. Because there's one thing that men don't like, and that's that you come around to their house for 5 minutes every 2 weeks and you get them to roll down their pants and they inject you with drugs. And you're supposed to be grateful and go, yeah, this is great. The mental illness is over. I'm kicking on for 16 stone, but I've never felt better. Just sat in my room. Not got a job, not got a girlfriend. Can't be bothered to watch porn. Right, so... But no, we have to believe in mental illness. You have to believe that your mother is ill. Well, look, now they all are. It's too late. You can't put the cat back in the bag. Now everyone believes in mental illness. Everything's mental illness now. I'm mentally ill. You're mentally ill. The doctor is fighting the good fight against it all. Like, it's enough already, but it's not going to go anywhere. Everyone believes in it. So it's the first thing you think. And there are people walking around with common diseases of endometriosis, with rare diseases of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. I'm walking around with 30 years of spinal arthritis that the NHS wants to tell me over the phone just because I actually had to call them to find out that it's the beginnings of osteoarthritis. You're not looking at the same person. Because 6 years earlier, I was already told it was advanced ankylosing spondylitis arthritis. And like 6 months before that, at least that doctor did say sacroiliitis and injected me with steroids. And then I'm like walking my dog everywhere, and then the steroids wear off and I take an opiate overdose because I have mental illness. I'm just so done with it. My friend Omar is in hospital for an overdose. He was asleep in a car and someone phoned police. And he was gone. I think he was out. He took everything. You know, we sit there over the winter and like sometimes we have to take a break from phoning each other. We just don't have a lot to look forward to. Now he doesn't have, maybe he's hypothyroid. In fact, apparently his psychiatrist told him 3 years ago that he's hypothyroid. He's suffering with depression that's caused him to take multiple attempts on his life, but he's not on any thyroid medication because it's mental illness. These people are not kind, they're not learned, they're not intelligent. All they're good at is memorizing things until they cannot think for themselves anymore. So if I go to the doctor and the first thing they see is bipolar, schizoaffective disorder, then I'm not in the room anymore. And how can someone wake up from a general anesthesia screaming 3 times and all that happens is the nurse walks over and injects you with morphine? Was that not even written up? And how come they do a scan a week later and say you've got loads of fluid around your ovaries, it's going to take 3 months to recover? That was 7 years ago and there's no problem there. The problem is they don't believe you. They can't think for themselves. They've either got to take you on absolutely straight down the line face value, or they're just going to go, how are you feeling? Because what, you're going to retrain now, are you? Do they get like their education paid for like me? I did too. I don't know if we can call it an education. Like most people that I did a creative writing degree with, or like creative studies in English, is actually what I graduated in because I did a lot of theatre and that. So everyone's pretty much stopped writing. I think I got beaten up anyway because I couldn't shut the fuck up apparently. So a lot of things went down the drain, but it's all right. We're going to move on. If you want to share your story, please do that. I am upset. I'm in pain. I'm in an acute codein withdrawal. So I had 3 days without my meds. I'm taking like over-the-counter cocodamol, which is very much less strength than dihydrocodein. The doctor's surgery is trying to say that 100 tablets that they issued a month ago was for 2 months. It's not. If you divide 100 by 28, you'll find out it's not 2 months worth because they're every 4 to 6 hours. That's 4 a day. So I am not well. But if you want to talk about your experiences with access to good healthcare, then you can always email me at yashasvi137@protonmail.com, and we'll try to have a chat, or I'll read your email, because I'm not alone in this. This is happening to loads of people. I don't think the doctors, and I'm talking about the first point of contact with your GP, like, I don't think that these guys are okay. They have a different client every 10 minutes. They can't think for themselves. They just had to memorize facts, which don't really exist in science. And they can't really think for themselves. Like I said, they've either got to take you on 100% face value, or they're just like, you know, thank you for saying I don't look like a psychopath. Thank you for saying you love me. I love you too. Well, that's what I'm supposed to say as a live streamer. I am my own landlady. So, well, I'm a long leaseholder. I think I have 99 years left on my rental agreement. So I kind of, because like I said, I came into money when I was like 36 or something, I don't remember. And then just wasted it on Etsy. And then, so I don't have to explain this to anyone. But I'm also someone that usually needs to take a lodger to be able to do stuff. And so I don't have a lodger, so I don't have the money to, like, you know, correct this mess that I keep adding to. But I have actually painted over many walls, not this blue wall, and then repeated the writing again. Just getting more scriptural, it's getting holy there. Not that I'm religious in the slightest, I'm an interested observer. I might do religious things, but I didn't notice recently. So yeah, and I have all this metal in me, and I've always paid for my own bits and bobs, my upkeep, not for 2 years now. And it's progressive. How my arthritis and EDS has progressed in the last, I don't even know, like a couple of years is bad. It's bad. And there's all this metal in my pelvis, and I have had swelling every day since, and that's not common, because when you bloat with endometriosis or other GI problems, it tends to come and go. And yes, it can get bigger, but it's never the actual pain and swelling that's under here, where I've got metal clipped to my fallopian tubes. I mean, if you're a guy, just imagine someone clipping tiny little bits of metal to your inner tubes. Not good. Not good. And apparently, last time anyone saw me about that, they said it was constipation. So I stopped asking these people for help. I'm trying to sell my home so I can get the metal removed. Just keep whatever you can keep. Probably best for me not to have periods anymore anyway. And my house has been on the market many times since 2020. I had an offer of 250,000 in 2020, and the guy didn't tell me because they thought it was too low. I would have sold for that. I had 3 offers last year: 250, 220, 180. I accepted 180. I accepted every offer. Everything fell through time and time again. In the last period where it fell through, I was supposed to be on a kind of quick turnaround to move out after a month, to start renting places. And if you do the maths, you take, well, not even 250,000, but if you take 180,000 and then you pay off 25,000 pounds of debt, and then you drop somewhere between 5 and 10,000 on surgery, because there might be excision of endometriosis done at the same time, and then you've got your recovery period, and then you start paying for like physical therapy 4 or 5 times a month, and you're paying £1,000 minimum in rent because you need to live alone, just because that's how life is here, because no one loves a wanker. So 108,000 then does not equate to very many years. I think it's like 3 years. So to answer your question, it would be helpful to have the money to paint over this stuff, but everything needs painting. Like, you know, there's more work here than what I can do myself. It's fine. It's just not a bad problem to have. But I'll be honest with you, if you've got a lump sum of money and you drop it into your house, and then that's it, and you need to move and get money, you're done. I've been trying to sell for a long time now. So, you know, excuse me for like not being surprised when one of my closest friends is overdosing in a car park. And I'll be surprised that all my closest friends have actually died from suicide in the last 10 years. Well, actually, not all of them. Not all of them. Sorry, I tell lies. Damn, man. No, not all of them. One walked into a train. One went to a hotel in Luton and overdosed by injecting himself after like 9 years in recovery, clean time. He was ill. they told them it was mental. I don't think it was. And the 2 other girls, I don't know how they died actually. So it's, I'm just not surprised. And I don't think these doctors can really help themselves. You need to think for a minute about what it's like to be a GP, to have memorized so many things. They have a rumor going around that when you're doing your finals, you're going to have like a mental illness doing that. It's like a joke among medical students. And then, they come out and they're prescribing stuff that's probably not good for people. They don't really know what they're doing. I don't think they can help themselves, because how are they going to get another job now? And our job's not easy. It's not easy to have a new client in front of you every 10 minutes. You're not familiar with their notes. You don't know who they are. They're just injecting people with poisons, right? If your vaccines work for you, that's brilliant. I'm going to go. I wore myself out. I'm prescribed Prozac, olanzapine, mirtazapine. I buy real Valium and pregabalin when I take morphine. I didn't get addicted, right? Used to be addicted to Xanax. Nothing like it says didn't weed. Olanzapine. You're on so many drugs, my friend. You can't get Valium script for life around here. You can't get the script. You can't buy it on the street. Who's prescribing all the Valium to each other? And you found your brother dead. God bless your brother and your soul also. It was very difficult. But things die. Bodies, spirit leaves. The bodies don't die. Sorry, even bodies don't die. They just get left behind. And then they are going to energetically go back into the earth. There is always new life. And so many people are like scared about loved ones having passed away, and like, where are they now? Are they okay? He's fine, man. He's fine. Like, no one needs all this fear of like hell malarkey. It stops people from looking into the truth for themselves. So I can be of any service to you. Just say your brother's cool, man. He's doing great. He's doing real good. I had a dream 10 years ago, like this June, maybe end of May actually, that I was running. I'm going to make the dream shorter. Running across a field, and like I looked behind, and I was like, if you've been to North Africa, they have like quite a lot of armed police, and he was like that, and I got shot. And I'm like running still, and I got shot through my heart. In the dream, my soul left my body, so it was free of like the chronic pain and other shit. It wasn't even just being free of chronic pain at that moment. It was like having a weight lifted off me, and kind of went from like a narrow space to a wide space. And that dream just stayed with me, because I don't often have like the most many dreams, or like that kind of have a clear narrative like this dream did. So, and it got stuck in my head like this was gonna not be imminent. I actually put it down to 10 years, so that would be now, like May. So I don't even know if like, I just like, it's so weird to me that I've been living so often thinking of that dream happening. Like, I mean, I would have, like, if I could have taken myself to Switzerland for assisted unaliving myself, like I would have done it multiple times. That's what happens to people with chronic pain, especially when they're not getting treated properly. And you just want to give me opiate-based synthetic opiates for apparently medication seeking, right? Because when I was diagnosed with endometriosis, they actually, according to the hospital, made an error on and wrote, we've ablated her endometrium, which they didn't, because I had a baby since then. Hello? Okay. Yeah, so then they didn't even, like, 2012 that was, they didn't even have an accurate, knowledge of it, because they're looking at my notes and it's not even saying endometriosis. But they did ablate endometriosis and it made it worse. You're supposed to excise it, which is cutting. General anaesthesia, don't get on with them. So just everything they do to me seems to make me so much worse position. The good thing about the last surgery I had was that they ablated my womb lining. And that's why, excuse me. I didn't know that was for me. Hey, man. Thanks. So then, I'm going to keep this short. I'm not offload on anybody. You're not alone. If you're having problems with your health, you're not alone. If you're having problems getting access to good healthcare, you're not alone. If you are getting access to healthcare and it's no good for you, you're not alone. If you find that everything is being chalked up to being some kind of mental fragility, that's not going to help empower you, you're not alone. If you've lost friends to suicide or you have suicidal ideation, you're not alone. If you're a doctor, you're like starting salary is like 150,000, is it, for a GP? You're alone. Your problems, you have problems that I can't help you with. I will advise you to leave your job, because I've sat inside psych units for so long observing the actual abuse going on all around me. And I just thought, you know what, these people need to leave their jobs if they are honest with themselves. And there's no point working a job dishonestly. This is so funky packaging. I got gravity paste. Does anyone use this stuff? Wow, this is like wrapped in paper. I like it. I don't usually get shit like this. Oh, and then the plastic. Who uses this? It's going to be back to front. I know everyone likes claymation, apparently, but this is what I'm going for. I need to do that. You're not alone, but if you're a doctor, no, you kind of are on your own. Your wage is putting you into a bracket which is just inconceivable for probably 99.9% of your regular patients. Inconceivable. I'm sat here on £1,700 a month just on welfare. That's not bad. I've just sent the DWP the last 4 months of bank statements. Now they're going to know that the 140 extra or 130 extra that they added so I can pay my management company fees, I've not been paying them. £1,700 a month. According to this, like, I find a link for the thing. You can put in your income in your country and your number of people in your household, and it'll tell you I'm in the 25th percentile. So that means 75% of people are better off than me, but it also means that 24.9999% are worse off than me. I'm on 1,700. That's not a lot. I know I'm doing really flush for somebody on welfare. For like 20 years almost, I was claiming like £300 PIP a month, which is insane. Now I'm like 750. My universal credit is like 950. I've still got to pay all my bills out of that. And I have habits that I've dragged with me from my childhood, as in I smoke tobacco, I spend money on tobacco. People think I spend money on weed. I actually don't. I vape like in the region of like 7 grams a month, 5, 7. I make my own oil. You can't even get that from a medical dispensary, the crap that I make from a magical butter machine. So, I don't know, I suppose, like, you know, Jesus said, pray for your enemies. And I feel like doctors have actually become, like, practically speaking, the enemy of people. And everything's broken up into so many specialities that if Justin goes to the physio with a problem in his foot that he thinks is caused by his spine, the physio might not even know how bad things have got. You would go to a knee specialist these days. It's that. And diagnoses that actually aren't real. Like, sorry, cystic fibrosis is a group of symptoms. It doesn't refer to a causation. Schizophrenia is a group of symptoms. It doesn't refer to causation. Fibromyalgia, which I was diagnosed with without even an examination, a physical examination, not real. It's a group of symptoms. You know, I want to know what the cause is so we can treat the cause together, because I don't know how I can take responsibility for myself otherwise. So that's going to be the takeaway point, and you stay to the end. You're a champion, guys, because I needed somebody. And it, you know, I don't want to be like a fake streamer. I love you too and everything, but it is nice when I see messages in the chat, like, even if you feel like a way about me, it's fine. It's literally fine for you to write in the chat, you look like a psychopath. I will talk on it. I'm not offended. Handle it the chat way better than I used to, especially like a couple of years ago, and I did an intentional dihydrocodein withdrawal, and it was really difficult. Like, felt so alone at that time, that January. And but I don't mind if someone wants to come here and start writing insults. I block you immediately. I have a one strike rule. But if you want to say you look like a psychopath, that's not offending me. You're just saying what you think. Like, I'm talking about someone I wrote banned recently because they just came in and wrote slag. So they're gone. But you want to, we can talk about the other stuff. Because I don't know. I don't mind addressing it. I don't know if you know what you mean when you say psychopath. And they do exist. I'm not saying they don't. But just in old parlance, they were sinners. Liars, murderers, etc. And now they have a problem with their brain. Is it? Okay. Well, I'm really tired from standing on this arthritis, and I'm just like, yeah, I needed you, whoever you are. I can't see you, you can see me. I've been live streaming actually since 2020. Then I had deletions of things that happened that I've really tried to get on top of in the last 2 years. When I lost all my work from like 2023, that happened really unexpectedly. I was in another country. The war had just started in Palestine. It was just properly kicked off there. And it was literally at that time I got like in a grey zone, and they just also turned 5G on at the hotel where I was in Tunisia, for sure. Like, I watched the engineers were there and they had like signs up. So that's what I think happened to me, because I deleted some great playlists. I deleted some talks that I had done that were good. And then I was like, well, you know what? I didn't stop burning weed until after that period, even though I wasn't burning weed like that night or anything when I was streaming mostly. Like, I just thought, okay, now everything in here is since I haven't been burning weed and I use my vape. So that's like a big win for me. But I try not to delete stuff unless I think it has to be deleted. Like, recently uploaded 2 shorts. One of them had no music in the background and one of them did. And I thought maybe I was appropriating. So I deleted that one because that one did really badly and the other one did really well. So I just got rid of that and try not to do anything online too impulsively. And I did check myself before I got here. I was like, is this better in another way? And I was like, well, you can see there's a lot of chaos in the way that I've spoken. I'm going from one thing to another thing. It's because there's a lot. It's a lot. And I don't know how to present it to you in a way that's challenging for you to listen. It's challenging for me to stand here on arthritis I've had for 30 years. Like, that's challenging. So yeah, because I'm like, sit, pray person. Like, God knows. I have to connect outside of that. Like, God's in here and like build. I'm going to start writing again. I started to say this earlier. I'll come back to it. They were giving us strong drugs in hospital, injections, large doses, there for months on end. Goodness knows what other capacities were traumatized in childhood. You want to say we have mental illness, even though most of us are like child rape survivors, male and female and in between. So can't even, you know what you know. So RF, who knows what's going on. I've been some terrible places to do with psych admissions, and also not getting admitted at times when I genuinely, because I was in trouble and I was in their responsibility. That was their responsibility. But anyhow, because I've lost my track. Oh, what the hell? But this is challenging enough. I just can't remember what I was saying. I just feel like there's so many of us walking around that haven't been diagnosed properly. You could have like cystic fibrosis and not even be diagnosed with that, because there's so many different types of CF, genetic types. And it's really underdiagnosed in like white Americans, in British. I've had chronic ENT, ear, nose and throat infections, chronic sinusitis, chronic bronchitis since I was a literal baby. And the doctor in 2020 told me I couldn't possibly have cystic fibrosis because I would have been tested as a baby. Well, that didn't happen. And these things are underdiagnosed, and that's why the charities and the people that are diagnosed, you know, with Ehlers-Danlos, endometriosis, other things, cystic fibrosis, we're trying to push for people to get better screening. But if you can't get through the GP to the referral in the first place, then it becomes more difficult. So I'm sorry I forgot what I said, but I don't want to trauma dump too much. I just was trying to say that I couldn't, you know, I just wanted to say what's happening. Like, well, I've been here an hour. I appreciate your comments. I appreciate if you follow. You know what? If you want to follow, but you don't want to get notifications, please turn the bell off. If I reach 1,000 subscribers, I'm not going to take a monetization program if I'm offered it, because I just don't want adverts in here. Like, it's too important to me, because I've been doing this, like, you know, a couple of years seriously, and I think like I sit in quite a nice place between, you know, vlogging and live streaming and some performance-based work, because that's what I'm interested in as well, and some, you know, testimonial things. It's been really difficult. It's really difficult to, you know, manage with these conditions and not come across looking a bit crazy. And that's all right and everything, but I am now talking too much. If you want to like this stream as well, it just makes me feel like I'm not in such a tiny corner of the world. But the main thing I want to really recover this year is like feeling like I'm doing some service here, rather than it being, you know, necessarily just a creative personal endeavor. That's what I was going to say. I don't know, legitimately, when I start writing an autobiography, I have a degree in creative writing, I was a published poet, till really the point that I got smacked around the head by a man hearing voices telling him to harm me, before I knew that I met Jelaine and Jeremy, whatever his name is, and before, like, I even knew what my dad had done to me. Like, there's very little point in them trying to assassinate me. I'll be honest with you, I think it's a lot easier to say that I'm going to do some writing than it actually is to do it, especially when you've been given those drugs in units. They violated your brain, they violated your mind, they violated, honestly, your soul and your truth. They lied to you, they wouldn't let you go until you agreed with their lies. Just coerced you into that. And it's really difficult to regain memories of times when you were drugged. Really difficult. So actually, my memoir would need to be honest, part fictionalized. I mean, it worked for a million little pieces, but just a long project that involves sitting for a couple of hours a day, and I have no money to go and do physio, and I don't want people to give me money. Like, I tell you why this is because people sometimes give me like £5 on a monthly repeat, or like when I've had Patreons, or they randomly send me 25 quid over PayPal. It hasn't happened for 2 years. Apart from I had a Patreon guy for like £2 a month for a few months. It was brilliant for me. It was so good to have another artist actually just go, you know what, like, here's a couple of quid, man. And I just went forward with that. But why I don't want people to do that is because I feel like I'm not here to, like, I don't know if I can do it, okay? Like, as in, if I had long enough, like, if I don't die at the end of May just because it's my time and I've really survived some incredible attempts already, so, you know, it will be time at some point, then I won't have time to do a thing for you. And I don't really want people who are on a similar kind of income to me trying to give me £2, £3, £4, £5 a month, or even like occasionally dropping 20 quid on me. If someone has money and they have an interest, like a genuine interest, you can give me money. I don't know if I have a PayPal on my page. But you know, if £1,700 puts me in the 25th percentile of earning in the UK, I mean, you take that my home ownership into account, then I'm in the 30th percentile. That's insane. Okay, genuinely, even with a cigarette habit or a tobacco habit, do not really have enough money. Not when it comes to needing like a chiropractor and a massage and something, acupuncture every week, you know, one thing a week, and that they're knocking on for like £75 a week. It doesn't add up for me. You have to be so incredibly strict with your finances to balance that, and I can't achieve that. So I'm not like here to be like, oh, I'm the people's champion. My parents had loads of money. Yes, my mum was adopted. That's not good, to be honest with you. At least she was adopted. But, you know, and then she got money from that, and then she had to divorce my dad for adultery. And then, you know, he was the one that was like earning money because he knew certain people and the Freemasons and whatnot. My mum obviously takes some of his money from the divorce because it's adultery. And my granddad, who adopted my mum, was very wealthy. Long story short, and left money for all of his grandchildren. So, like, most people will not relate to that. And I don't want to stand here and say, I can do this for you. I can write this book that's going to expose all these people. I've already mentioned the book Poppy Shakespeare. I don't remember the author. It came out a very long time ago. You should read that book. They had to fictionalize the experiences of community and inpatient mental health treatment because I don't know, do you know anyone that's done an autobiography out of that wasn't some kind of, when I accepted my illness, then I just got on with it and I did whatever the doctor said. He told me I was a good girl. I didn't promise you anything. And I don't have all the answers either. But there's no point people giving me like £5 a month to do a thing when that's not a meaningful amount of money to me, and it's clearly a meaningful amount of money to you. So then it's not adding up there. So a wealthy sponsor, I tell you who I've asked. I'm not going to name and shame anybody, it's fine. But those guys are really rich. Like, can I just say Gary Stevenson, for those of you who watch Gary's Economics, his reported net worth, go and look it up online, because there are reports of like something like X million up to billion. And he's on Patreon taking your money to fight for, you know, some kind of financial equality. I'll tell you what needs to happen. You need to make sure that businesses are run ethically. So you need to make ethical laws. And he keeps saying he doesn't know. He doesn't have not a clue. He's like, he's a reformed banker. Don't let anyone hear you say anything bad about him. He might be a billionaire. Why are you giving him money on Patreon? Because you want him to be your champion. Fine. I can't guarantee that. But if it makes you feel less alone, then that's good. And if you want to tell your stories, you're welcome. And you can email me. And yashasvi, yashasvi137 at protonmail.com. And if you like my stuff, then you can subscribe. And I'm calming down now. And Dean to eat. Says I seem honest and truthful. Yeah, well, I did used to have a reputation for that, and it got lost somewhere along the way. I think it might have gotten lost because I started moving around quite a lot, and I had to come to terms with what was true as well, because there was a lot of stuff I wasn't with the full ticket. Like this stuff that happened with my dad, honestly, I didn't look at it till I was 40. I couldn't, and it was worse than what I thought, in a sense of like, you know, it was a lot. It was just, I don't mean like it was worse because I remember like wild places I went to or anything before the age of, 15. Just no way to raise a daughter. So thank you. That's what I think I was getting to. Everything's going to be fine, and I think it might take until maybe even Friday to get a prescription from the doctors, but it will come. I actually have kratom. It's perfect to use at this time, so I'll have some of that. Thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next one.